Can Baron Corbin evade Braun Strowman? Welcome back to the ACB Wrestling Talk channel, your main source for wrestling news, topics, discussions, previews, all that kind of good stuff. I'm your host, Alexis Carrillo, and tonight is the final episode of Monday Night Raw before Survivor Series. It is the go-home episode of Raw towards the pay-per-view, and thus, with it being the go-home episode, we can expect some kind of specialty, or special appearances rather, to appear on the show. But one thing I want to point out, or a few things I want to point out from last week's show, one of which is this, that I'm happy that if Braun Strowman, the monster among men, has to get his hands on someone and has to be chasing someone down and running him down all over Monday Night Raw, I'm just glad. I'm just so happy and so thrilled that that character is Baron Corbin. Because if you recall, ever since Baron Corbin has been named acting general manager of Raw, and even before, you know, he was, I think, the counselor to Kurt Angle when he was still GM, all Baron Corbin's purpose was to get on Angle's nerves and thus get on the audience's nerves. And I just gotta say, he did kind of make me angry a few times, you know? And that's a good thing because that's the character he's trying to portray. So now, the real question is, we saw it last week, Braun Strowman was chasing him down. Braun Strowman was running Corbin down, and he couldn't quite catch him yet. But will he tonight? Will Braun Strowman get his hands on Corbin tonight, or will we have to wait until Survivor Series this Sunday? Now, the obvious answer to me would be, yes, I would have Strowman get his hands on Corbin, and you damn well know that's going to get a hell of a pop from the crowd, both in the arena and everyone watching at home. But the real question is, will this returning authority figure allow it? And like I said, special edition of Raw, because it's a go-home episode of Survivor Series. The Raw Commissioner is going to show up to Monday Night Raw. Stephanie McMahon is back. And I believe that one of her subplots on tonight's episode of Raw is to put Team Raw, Team Red together. So with that, she will not allow Strowman to get his hands on Corbin. She's gonna be defending her acting general manager of Monday Night Raw, at least for tonight. What can we expect on Sunday? That's a whole different question. That's a whole different scenario. But back to Stephanie McMahon. She's coming back most of all, and this is her main plot for tonight's episode of Raw, to deal with the repercussions of Shane McMahon winning the WWE World Cup at Crown Jewel. The fact that Shane McMahon won that World Cup, not only for Team SmackDown Live, but also because he's essentially, and even though he kind of dismissed it last week on SmackDown Live, he is still, due to his win at World Cup, he is still the best in the world, as much as I don't like that. What will Stephanie McMahon have to say about this, about that? One of the rumors circling social media and the wrestling news websites are the fact that Stephanie McMahon might come out and challenge Shane to put that World Cup trophy on the line at Survivor Series. Whoever wins between Raw and SmackDown, whether that be the entirety of matches that they have on the card, or whether it be the 1 5-on-5 men's Survivor Series elimination match, that's yet to be known, but that's one of the options, certainly one of the options. And personally, I'm hoping it is, because I don't want that trophy to stick with Shane McMahon, and I want that trophy to be handed over to the superstars who actually can prove to the world that they are the best in the world. So who rounds out Team Raw, Team Red, on the road to Survivor Series? I believe Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, and Dolph Ziggler are already a part of Team Red. 2 members are missing, and Kurt Angle, as we saw last week, he failed at his chance of becoming team captain of Raw when he fell to Drew McIntyre, which, if you ask me, was the right move. You know what? You know how I feel about this. I do not like veterans coming back to the ring and taking the spots from the younger guys. So I was completely on board with Drew McIntyre just beating the hell out of Angle, decimating Angle, mostly because Drew McIntyre has really elevated his momentum. He has really elevated his game. And if you ask me, Drew McIntyre has the possibility of being a top heel in WWE. You know, if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar's Universal Championship reign, I would have absolutely no problem having McIntyre be Universal Champion. He's been a World Champion before, over at Impact Wrestling. He's been NXT Champion. He's been Intercontinental Champion. He's got the talent. He's got the pedigree. He's got everything. Drew McIntyre's got everything in his corner to actually be a leading guy on Monday Night Raw. The real question is, will WWE roll the dice on him? Do I believe Kurt Angle will still be a part of Team Raw? Most likely. He is a big name. He is the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. He did win the Olympics with a broken freaking neck. So, on that basis alone, I do believe they're going to give him a spot on Team Raw. But, you know, I just want, if it were up to me, this would be his final run. I would have him nowhere near the main event scene or the world title scene, nowhere near that scene, but have him have, you know, but I would let him have one last run on the road to WrestleMania and have him retire at WrestleMania and call it quits, because last week on Monday Night Raw against Drew McIntyre, he looked out of shape, he looked like he couldn't keep up, and maybe, you know, maybe that was a part of the story that they were trying to tell in the ring. That's always, you know, a possibility. But if you ask me, 2-3 years ago, back in his Impact days, back in his, you know, final Impact days, he still couldn't keep up. He was the world champion over there, and he couldn't have a 15-minute long match. So, you know, I just like with Batista, you know, Kurt Angle, come back, have one last run, retire, let the young guys take care of business, let the young guys take the brass ring and lead this company into the future, as they always should. So, with that prediction that Kurt Angle will be a part of Team Raw, who else? Who's the final member of Team Raw going into Survivor Series? Now, if you ask me, just like last week, just like 2 weeks ago, and just like 3 weeks ago, we're going to have ourselves a little qualifying match for Survivor Series. It's going to be not the first rematch, not the second rematch, but the third rematch between Bobby Lashley, my man, Bobby Lashley, and Finn Balor. And I've got to say this. It's so frustrating watching Monday Night Raw week after week after week and have these repetitive matches week after week after week. Okay, I dread every time I've heard Bobby Lashley's theme song. I've dreaded Finn Balor's theme song coming up. I would always be hoping, hey, bring out someone else, and no, it's Finn Balor. And I love Finn Balor, but you gotta give us something different. And it's not just these two. A few weeks ago, they were doing the same with Roode and Gable. Roode and Gable would come out, and then the Ascension's music would hit. And we would either have a tag team match or a singles match between these team members. And it's just frustrating. And I think WWE's creative team has forgotten how to mix and match feuds and rivalries and superstars, which could later, which could plant the seeds and later evolve into actual feuds and rivalries that have some basis, that have some past. They went for the repetitive crap. That's on them. And all the respect for stand-up comedians, they usually have sets which they travel with, and they do repeat their sets on different shows. But the difference here is that, yes, while WWE is a touring product, you have a national audience on the USA Network tuning in every week. A little bit less every week, but yes, every week they're tuning in every week, and they're watching the same matches over and over again, which is not good TV. So, Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor, and I have to give that to, hopefully, Lashley. Although they might go with Balor, being that Lashley was actually in the World Cup. Who knows? You know, with this WWE booking, you can never really predict what they're gonna do every single time. So, one last thing, or couple of things left for this Raw preview, is that the Beast is back. Brock Lesnar, the Universal Champion, the much dreaded second reign of the Beast incarnate, he is back. And this Sunday faces off against AJ Styles in a rematch, champion versus champion at Survivor Series. Do I care about this match? Not really. I don't really care for Lesnar as Universal Champion. As far as who do I think is going to win this match at Survivor Series? Well, you know, you're just gonna have to wait and find out on this Wednesday's Survivor Series predictions. But it's pretty much the obvious superstar that's going to win, the obvious answer. So, you know, stay tuned to the channel for that. And finally, Team Captain Alexa Bliss reveals her team members, her team, Monday Night Raw, going into Survivor Series. Who's going to be a part of that team? One thing's for certain, it's not going to be all heels. WWE is not going to have them do that. If you ask me, if it were up to me, I'd put Bayley in there and Sasha Banks in there, even though they have problems with Bliss. I would put, who else? Nia Jax and Tamina, you know, bringing the power moves into the team. And the final spot, either going to Ember Moon or to Ruby Riott. You know, that's kind of the Team Raw on the women's side that I would like to see. But being that, you know, you have to predict all 5 members, it's going to be really hard to actually get this one right. So, with that said, that's the Raw preview for tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. What are you expecting for tonight's episode of Raw? Are you excited on this road to Survivor Series? Were you expecting something else? Or are you kind of feeling that, you know, Raw was fresh a few weeks ago and now we're back to the same old shtick? Kind of the way like I'm feeling, you know? So, leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions on the comment section below. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. That's it for me. Till next time.